All right, today we're going to look at our modern vehicles. We're going to talk about the anatomy of the cars a little bit. We're going to talk about our cut techniques based on the anatomy. And we're also going to run through how to effectively and quickly complete our extrication tasks. The car we're going to be cutting on today is a 2000 model car. It's not new compared to our 17 model cars, but it's still going to have the same features and the same layout that we're going to be concerned with our newer vehicles. We're finding that our responses to motor vehicle collisions have less people on them, and we're being asked to do more tasks on scene. What we've done here is we've actually come up with a task card that's going to line up our task force that we need to complete on scene. The main thing we've done is that we've taken and pre-assigned the basic task into two positions. On our task card, we've named our two positions, Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2. On scene, this is really dependent on how many people you have. So it doesn't have to be firefighters that do the roles. It might be an officer and an engineer on the role completing the tasks. It might be an officer and a firefighter. It might be two firefighters. The main goal is just taking a look at the two job functions, and we're going to assign two people to complete those functions, all depending on who we have available to us on scene. For the Firefighter 1 position, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to approach the car from the passenger side. As we're approaching the car, we're going to take our half of the car, we're going to do our outer circle and walk towards the car, so we're looking for any hazards above us, any hazards at grade, any hazards below grade. As I approach the car, I'm going to do the same thing for my inner circle. I'm going to look for any hazards right above me, any hazards at the car, any hazards below grade. As we get to the car, we're going to go ahead and position our chocks. Our front chock's going to go right here, right in line with the A-post. Our back chock is going to go right in here, right in front of the rear tire. The strong part of the metal of the car is in between the A-post and the C-post. So if I know that's where my strong part of the metal is at, that's where I want to do my stabilization of the car. After we have our wheel chocks positioned, we're going to come up to here and start off this front window. When we come up to the front window, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our glass out. We'll clear our glass. Next thing we're going to do is we'll go ahead and cut our seatbelt. We're going to do our peel and peaks and mark our cut locations. Once that's done at this first window, we're going to take a step and we're going to do it again. We're going to take a step and do it again, and we're just going to complete a 360 of the car, doing that all the way around. The whole goal as we do this is to not walk backwards and repeat ourselves. Anytime I walk backwards on the car, our scene time goes up. As our scene time goes up, our patient survivability rate goes down. Once we've put our chocks in position, we're going to start off this front window. We're going to come up to here. We're going to take our glass out. Once our glass is cleared, we're going to go ahead. We're going to cut our seatbelts. When we cut our seatbelts, run across at a 45. Seatbelts are cleared. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and complete our peel and peaks. The main thing we're worried about, I need to get my molding out. I'm going to take a look inside and make sure I don't have any hazards in there. So we've cleared the back where we're going to cut. The front, we're going to go right above the mirror. So I come up to here. We're going to get into here. We'll pop our molding right off. As that comes off, it comes out for us. Now I can get visual in here. That's clear. Once those are clear, we're going to go ahead and take our marker, and we're going to go ahead and mark our cut locations. So now, whoever walks up the cutter, when they walk up, they see these marks, they know that their peel and peak has been completed, and they know where to make their cuts. We've now completed this first window. We're going to go ahead and take a step. We're going to come back to here, and we're going to do it again. As we clear out our glass, glass comes out. And again, just like before, we'll go ahead, glass comes out. We're going to cut our seatbelts. We've already cleared this post, so we just need to clear our post back here in the back. Molding pops right off for us and get a visual in there. I know we're okay. We'll go ahead and mark our cut location again. From there, we're just going to keep going around the car. So we're going to swing around here to our back window, take our glass, and start walking around the rest of the car. Out of habit, if we just cut the seatbelt every time, it doesn't matter whether it's attached to the post or attached to the seat, we just clear it every time. If I sit here and I take the time to analyze where the seatbelt's attached to, it actually takes us longer to complete the extrication. When we do cut the seatbelt, we're going to take our cutter, we just want to come across the seatbelt about a 45-degree angle to the seatbelt, and it's going to cut right through for us. If we try to come straight across, it's going to bunch up and bind, and we're not going to clearly cut it. So angle across, and we're good to go to the next step. On our molding, normally we're going to clear one side of the car. When we get to the other side of the car, we don't have to necessarily pop this molding if we remember where our hazards were at. Just to show you though, a quick review, we're going to get into here, come right underneath, in between the molding and the car, clear that molding off, and we're looking for hazards in here. Our hazards are going to include any airbag cylinders, they're going to include any seatbelt brackets or any bolts. Any of those things are hazards to our tool. We want to avoid them and either cut above them or below them. When we pop our B-post molding, because of the seatbelt bracket, we can't always get the molding completely off. At a minimum, if we get down here, we can pull it away from the car, and I can get in here and I can get a visual and at least make sure that I don't have any hazards. Once I've cleared of my visual hazards, we can go ahead and mark our cut locations and move to the next post. We're now going to do the firefighter 2 position. On the firefighter 2 position, I'm going to grab my step chocks and a Halligan tool. Again, as I walk towards the car, I'm going to do my outer and inner circle on my half of the car. Between firefighter 1 and firefighter 2, we have now completed a full 360 of our inner and outer circles. We're going to walk up to our car, and again, we're going to go ahead and place front step chalk right in line with the A post, rear step chalk right in front of that C, and we're ready to go to the next step. After our chocks are positioned, we need to settle the car down onto the cribbing. We're going to take our pointy part of the Halligan tool, we're going to hit the sidewall of the tire with it. Once we hit that sidewall, it's going to take the air out of the tire. From there, we're going to come up to our windshield, we're going to score the windshield. When we say score the windshield, what we're going to do, we're going to take our forks, we're going to break all the way through the glass straight down. We're going to start where our cut location's at and go straight down. We'll do that on both sides. The reason we do that, when we get ready to take the roof of the car off, we don't have to cut the whole windshield out. This will allow the windshield to peel out with the roof and go away. That saves us the time of traditionally cutting out the windshield. We're going to take that time off for total extrication. Once that's done, we're going to keep going in a circle. We'll come back to our rear tire. We're going to take the air out. Then we're going to complete around the circle, and we'll complete the same task down the other side. Once our chocks are positioned, we're going to go ahead and start off this front tire and take the air out. We're using the pointy part of the Halligan tool to the sidewall of the tire. The reason we do that is because it's quick, simple, and easy. Versus trying to come in here and pull valve stems, take valve stem cores out, it takes too long. This whole extrication process should take us under 10 minutes. Anytime I can cut 10 seconds here, 30 seconds there, that all reduces our total scene time. So we get ready to take our tire, pointy part to the sidewall. As we do that, air comes out nice and controlled. From there, we'll take our tool out. We're going to score the windshield. On scoring the windshield, we're going to start at that cut location and just going straight down. From there, we're going to walk to our next tire and we're going to do it again. Take our air out, nice and controlled. As we go from there, we're going to walk around the car and do the exact same things again. We'll take this tire out. We'll score our windshield. We'll take our front tire out. Once that's complete, we'll come up here and we'll access the engine compartment. When we hit the tire with the Halligan tool, we want to hit the upper half of the tire. If we hit the lower half, the air comes out, it's going to stick our tool. So upper half, let the air out, move to the next step. Remember, as we complete our task, the whole goal is always going forward and not to work backwards. So we'll start off at our front tire, then we'll go to our windshield. As I walk around the car, rear tire, we come around the car. Next thing I come to is tire. As I go forward, windshield, then tire. Then we're going to walk around and finish off with the engine compartment. While firefighter 2 is doing this, at the same time, firefighter 1 is making their circle. For both of us to complete our task, it should take us 2 minutes. So roughly, air brake set to the point where we're ready to start cutting the car should be about 2 minutes, and we should both be done. The reason we're going in circles is we don't want to walk past a job that needs to be done. If we walk past it, we're either going to forget to do it, or I have to go backwards to complete the task. Anytime I'm going backwards, what happens to my scene time? It goes up. Scene time goes up. What's patient survivability do? Goes down. After we've completed our walk around the car, doing tire, windshield, tire, coming around the car, tire to windshield, tire, we're going to come up here to the engine compartment. We're going to pop out the grill. We should expose our hood release mechanism. On the hood release mechanism, we're going to put our Halligan tool around it and twist the tool. As we twist the tool, that'll release the hood. Once the hood's released, we can bring the hood up. We can access the engine compartment. We're going to disable the latch mechanism. We're going to cut our battery, and we're going to drop the hood back down. After we've completed our circle of doing tire, windshield, tire, tire, windshield tire. We're going to come up here and into the engine compartment. So we're going to come into here. We're going to pop our grill out. We're going to come in here, find our hood release cable. We're going to take, we'll put the fork, the tool around it. We're going to twist it. As I twist it, that'll release the hood latch. We can lift the hood latch up, release our mechanism. We go ahead and just push the hood back so it stays out of our way. From there, we're going to take our tool. We want to take and disable the latch mechanism. I want to make sure that the hood doesn't relatch on me once it's down. From there, we'll go ahead, we're going to cut our battery cables. Remember, when we cut our cables, we'll start with the ground first. We're going to take and make 2 cuts of the cable. When we make our 2 cuts, that way the 2 ends aren't going to have room to come back together. We'll cut our ground, then we'll go ahead and we're going to cut our positive. Once those are done, we can go ahead, drop the hood latch back down, and we're done with Firefighter 2 tasks. Now we have the car prepped. The next step we're going to show you is just doing a quick door removal. We would normally show up do a door removal if I had a patient inside who is critical. We need to get the door off so we can start doing patient care. Once we start that patient care, then we're going to wait for our rest of our big set of tools to show up and go ahead and take the roof and lift our dash up. When we get ready for taking the door itself, we're going to get the fender cleared up out of our way. Once we get the fender cleared, I now will have good access to my door hinges to take the door off. We want to try to work on the door from the door hinge versus the latch side. When we start working on the latch side, in order to get the door off, we have to collapse the door. And in the process of collapsing the door, or manipulating the door itself, we could cause issues with the airbag sensors, the airbags themselves, as well as actually shoving that B-post in onto the patient. When we work from the latch, from the hinge side up here, we work from this side here, everything we're doing, we're pulling the door away from the car and away from the patient, which is going to ultimately result in a quicker door removal as well as better patient care. First thing we need to do is get the fender cleared. So we'll start off right up here. We can break the bolts at the top. We can break our bolts at the bottom. Just grab the fender by hand, get it out of the way. Once the fender's clear, and now I have good access to my door hinges, we'll go ahead and now get after our door hinges. When we take our door hinges, we're going to take and expose the hinge. On attacking the hinges, we're going to work from the top down. If we work in between the hinges, this is where the door is weaker than both hinges. But if I attack up here, I'm only attacking half of the upper hinge. The door is stronger than that and we'll be successful in removing the door. For me, what I found, I like to do this in 3 steps. Open it a couple inches, reset the tool a little bit deeper, open a couple more inches, reset the tool a little bit deeper. On that third reset, we get the tool onto the strong parts of the door and onto the strong parts of the A-post. And at that point, we'll be able to go ahead and break the door and shove it open. Once we've cleared that upper door hinge, we're going to stop. We're going to drop down and do our lower door hinge. We're going to do the exact same steps again. Open a couple inches, reset. Up a couple inches and we're there. At that point on our door, we can typically come up here, go ahead and just cut our electrical cord. We should be able to come up to our door, jiggle the handles, take the door off. When the door comes off, remember we want to go paint to pavement. If I have any undeployed airbags in the door, and we set the door with the inside down, and that airbag fires for whatever reason, we could launch that door. If I always go paint to pavement, now if that airbag fires off, we're not going to have any issues with the door moving. We've cleared that, and now we come back, we can start our patient care and do what we need to care for the patient while we're waiting for the rest of our tools to show up and take the car apart. All right, when we get on scene, I like to put my tools and my pumps, I like to work from the back of the car. Think about normally in a collision, a lot of times the front end of the car is impacted into another vehicle, a tree, or any other obstacle. So if we get in the habit of setting our tools in front of the car during drills, it's going to throw us off on real scene. So we're going to go ahead and start with our pump back here off the right rear corner of the car. We're going to start our pump up, hook our hose, hook our tool up. Once that's hooked up, we'll go ahead and walk our hose out. We'll flip our hose into position. We're going to start off in the A post opposite the patient. Remember, we're working we're doing our OCD circles. So we're going to go ahead and we'll cut our front A, then we're going to do our B, our C, then we're going to walk around the car, and we'll go ahead and do this C, this B, and end with the A. Once those cuts are complete, we can take the rough up and off, and we're ready to go to the next step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, hook our hose to the pump, hose to the tool. Start our pump. Stretch our hose out. We're going to start off on our A-post cut. After our A-post, we're going to move backwards to our C, or I'm sorry, to our B next. We're cutting right where we had our marks at from our peel and peak that we completed. Remember, as you're making your cut, if the tool feels pretty solid in your hand, there's still material left in the blades. Keep going. Once we're all the way through the material, the tool will actually get loose. So you kind of watch my hand here. There's still something to it. We're still making our cut. Through our material, we got wiggle to the tool. We got that wiggle. We're going to go ahead and go to the next step. Any debris comes off the car, we just kick it underneath the car, keep it out of our way. As we complete this cut, remember we're going to go ahead, we're doing our OCD circle. We started the A to B to C. After we complete this C, we're going to walk around and we're going to go C, B, A. Remember, as we're cutting on the car, the tool's made of hard metal, the car's hard metal. Watch your body position. Your body's soft and squishy. Don't let your body get between the tool and the car. So as the cuts are being made, we might need to shift one way or the other, but go ahead and keep that tool working. As it's working through, right, tool's solid, I still have material left. We're going to go till the tool gets loose in our hands. Once it's loose, we know we're through the cut. We're still going, almost there. As we're going through the cut, you'll see there's different cutters have different blade designs. These particular cutters here, as we're making our cuts, the design of the blade actually pulls the tool into the material we're cutting. That's what we want to have. If you think about the tool, where's it going to generate its most force? We go back to high school physics. The closest I get to the pivot point, the more force we generate. That's what we're doing with this tool. As we were talking about the blade design, watch when we close the tool. You'll see the tips are going to close. There's going to be a void space in the back. As the tips close, that will force material into the back of the tool. You see that void space, and that's what we're talking about. So as we shove the material back, that's where it's going to generate its cut force for us, and that's going to give us successful cuts during the extrication. As we're making this final cut, I'm not worried about supporting the rough up to this point. Now that we're making this final cut, we'll bring in another firefighter, and we're going to help hold the rough so it doesn't drop down on our patient as we're completing this cut. Once the cut's complete, we'll go ahead and we'll take this tool. We're going to step back. We're going to clear the area with the tool, and then we'll take the roof off. Now that the roof posts are all cut, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the roof up a little bit in the back. We're going to come forward. If you remember those relief cuts we made here in the beginning, that's going to allow the upper part of this A-post to come forward and touch the hood of the car. Once it's touching the hood of the car, that now gives us a solid contact point. We'll then go ahead and we'll flip the whole roof up and over. So it'll be sitting here laying upside down. Once it's laying upside down, we're going to take an angle to a 45-degree angle and then walk straight out. The reason we're going to angle to a 45-degree angle, instead of trying to tear the whole glass as one piece, when we angle it, that puts all the focus on one piece, and we just simply, as we walk away, it'll tear across the bottom of the windshield for us. Again, the whole reason that we're doing this versus cutting the windshield out is reducing our time. You figure on seeing it takes you anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to cut a windshield out. Here, we're not doing any of that. We're just taking it out with the roof. When I do that, we've now just right there cut 2 to 3 minutes off our extrication time. Up, go forward. Cut. Now bring it up and over. Now angle to a 45 to you and straight out. And again, just like we've talked about before, we're going to go paint to pavement. That way, if I have any undeployed airbags in the roof and they fire off while this is sitting here, those airbags will go up, the roof stays where it's at. If we put it with the inside down, those airbags could fire off and take the whole roof with it and launch that through our scene. So again, remember, paint to pavement with any parts of the car we take off. But we're going to have, there's an upper subframe to the car. We're going to have a lower subframe which runs along the engine compartment. It hits the firewall at that lower door hinge, drops down and goes backwards to support the lower part of the car. I've got my A-post, and then I've got the strut tower, which ties everything in all together. So we basically create a box. We get to this next step. If a patient is still trapped, we need to lift the dash up to get the dash and pedals clear of the patient. These 4 structures all create a box. As long as that box is intact, it's going to make lifting that dash difficult. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that subframe in between the strut tower and the A-post to take that strength away. Then we're going to come down here, and remember, we're going to cut our relief cut. It's going to go right above that lower door hinge. That way, when we get ready to lift it, the subframe will hold the floor in place, the dash will lift up. When we're looking to identify these components, when I've got the hood in place, it's very difficult to find where that strut tower is at. So we get ready for our next steps. The first thing we'll do is we'll take the hood off. With the hood off, I can now look down and identify where that strut tower is at, so that then I know my cut location between the strut tower and the A-post. We know where to make that cut. From there, we'll go ahead and we're going to strip our fender off. Once the fender's clear, we have access to our door hinges. We'll go ahead and then take the door off, remove the door, clear. Once the door is cleared, we'll go ahead and make our relief cut in the car. Once the relief cut's done, our subframe cut's done, we'll go ahead and be ready to start making our lift on the dash. All right, our next step we're going to do is making the car naked. Remember earlier when we did the initial Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2 jobs, we disabled that latch mechanism? You're going to find as we run through this program, there's a lot of times that step number 2 helps with step number 7. Step number 12 helps with step number 23. This is part of why we disabled this earlier, so now I can come into here, I can lift the hood up without having to undo my latch mechanism. We're going to bring the hood up, we're going to go ahead and cut this hinge, walk around, we'll cut the other hinge, we'll take the hood off and then it goes away. With the hood off and clear, I can now see my strut tower. Remember our strut tower, if we're looking straight down, there's going to be 3 bolts all in a little triangle, and that's our strut tower. So we can now identify the strut tower regardless of whether it's up in the front like it normally would be, or if it's back a foot, back 2, 3 feet. It's easy to identify that landmark. Once we're done with that, we'll go to the next step of taking the fender off and continuing down the process. All right, so we're going to come in here. We're going to make the car naked. First thing to make the car naked is taking our hood off. We can lift the hood up. We're going to go ahead and cut the first hinge. That's cut. Now I can come right across. Make our second cut. With those 2 cuts complete, this guy comes off and goes away. And again, just out of habit, paint to pavement when it goes on the ground. Now that we've taken the hood of the car off, we're going to continue with making the car naked. So the next thing we need to do is take the fender off. For taking the fender off, we'll come up top. We're going to break it at the top here. Then we'll go ahead and spread it the rest of the way off. Remember, the fenders are going to be bolted across the top and bolted at the bottom. Those are my push points we're going to do to get that fender cleared. Once that fender is clear, then we come into here, we can tack our door hinges and take the door off, and we'll be ready to continue to the next step. We broke it at the top. We're going to come down here and break it at the bottom. Once it's broken across the top, broken the bottom, just by hand clear it out. Once it's clear, we now have access to come in and take the rest of the car apart. All right, we're going to take our door off. Remember, when we take our door off, we want to come in here, we want to attack the door from the upper door hinge and work our way down. If we start off in between the two hinges, the door is weaker than the two hinges and we'll just shred the door. That's why we're starting off here up above the door hinge. We're going to typically try to take 3 attempts to do this. So we're going to take our first one, we're going to open up the door a couple inches. We're going to go ahead and reset. We're going to set it in a little bit deeper. We're going to go another 2 inches with it. After we've gone that far, we'll reset a third time. And the resets allow us to get a good bite so we don't shred the door, or we're actually able to break the door hinge itself. Once the upper door hinge is cleared, we're going to drop down to the bottom door hinge and do the exact same thing again. So we'll start off with spread number 1, open it up a couple inches. We're going to close it, get a little deeper bite. Spread number 2. Open a couple inches, reposition, then get number 3 on there. We've now broken hinge, top hinge, bottom hinge, and that center support brace. We'll go ahead and cut our wire harness. Generally, at this point, we can walk up to the door, jiggle the door handles, and take the door off. As the door comes off, remember, we want to go paint to pavement on the ground with it. That way, any undeployed airbags won't fire the door and move it around. Door comes off, goes out of the way. We've already identified where our strut tower and firewall are at, so we're going to come into here now, and we're going to cut this upper subframe right in between the two of those guys. By cutting through this, we're going to take and weaken the structures. Remember, we've got our upper subframe, lower subframe, A-post, strut tower. Those 4 make a box. As we're making this cut, we're going to go ahead and weaken that box. So there's our upper subframe cut complete. Next cut we're going to do is going to be down here, lower door hinge relief cut. Remember, we don't want to cut down here in the corner because that subframe, lower subframe, comes in here, hits at the lower door hinge and drops down. So our cut location is going to be right here. We're going to go 2 fingers above the door hinge. We come into there. We're going to make our bite. Remember, as you get ready to make our bite, you don't want to stand in between the tool and the car. We'll come across. There's our first cut. You see that upper dash starting to lift. We're going to go ahead and finish the other half of the cut. Once we get this cut complete, the other thing we're going to look for is our center support brace. We've got to make sure we get that center support brace cut. Once that's cut, we'll be ready to lift our dash. All right, next step we need to do is cut our center support brace. Remember, this brace runs from the floor all the way up to the push pipe in the center of the dash. If we don't get that cut, when we get ready to lift the dash, that's where we have that dash kind of starts to smile at us and we don't get that true lift. In order to cut them, we've got one of 2 options. I can come from below here. Typically, I can get one of the 2 sides clear in the front seat. I can work from that clear side and cut across. I can cut this side, and I can just reach through and cut the other side. If I have occupants trapped in both sides of the car and we can't get to access from here, we'll come to the top of the car. On the top of the car, what we'll do is we'll put our spreaders into the defroster vent hole, open spreaders up, and that'll pop the whole dash off. Once the dash is off, you can actually look from the top straight down and see these pipes and just reach from the dash down and cut them. So on seeing whichever process is easier for you, do that route. Right now we've cut through the upper subframe, we've cut through the lower A post, and we've made a relief cut so we're ready to lift the dash. We can bring our spreader into here. We're going to keep the spreader horizontal and perpendicular to the car and open up. As we open it up, the dash is going to come up, the pedals are going to come up, and our patient's going to be free. Upper cut's complete, lower cut's complete, center support cuts are complete. We come into here. As we're lifting our dash, you see the dash came up, our pedals came up, patient's out, clear and free and ready to go. All right, we've opened as far as we can go with our spreaders. We've more than doubled our opening that we had. If we needed to go more, how would we do it? What we do is we come in here, we're going to take our recip saw, we're going to clear out this plastic so I can find my push pipe on the inside. Once I expose that pipe, we're going to come in here with the ram support. We'll put a ram support up against the B post. We'll bring our ram in and we'll go ahead and keep pushing open with the car. All right, we're going to go ahead and expose our push pipe. So I can get a visual of my pipe. We're going to go ahead and clear this out. Plastic's clear. I see where I need to push with my ram. We'll go ahead and set that off to the side. Bring our ram into position. All right, we've taken up here, we've cleared out access so we can get the ram head right on the push pipe. We're secured down below. At this point, we're going to go ahead and open our ram. As we open our ram up, patient's out and away we go. If you think about the calls that we run on and where we're going to have the biggest impact on saving lives, extrication is it. On fires, they're in or they're out. On medicals, we're going to make a difference, but we're how many critical medicals do we run on? Versus our car wrecks, a couple of minutes one way or the other can make a difference between life or death. On our extrication here, you can see with the proper tools and proper training, a 5-10 minute extrication is very realistic. A lot of departments out there running older tools, older techniques, 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half is pretty common. Our goal of this training video is to kind of give you some ideas of the newer tools out there and the newer techniques and help you be successful in saving lives. Outer circle's good, inner circle's good. Nice. There we go. Forward. Let the last brake. Over. Come to me. Walk away. Perfect. Drop it. Grab your cutter. Relief cut right there. Yep. Very nice. Yep. Perfect. 2 fingers above the door hinge. Nope, down above the door hinge. Flip it over. Keep flipping it. Come down. Right there. Swing around to me. Go up. Yep. Yep, yep. Perfect. Do the front half. Flip it over. Yep, right in there. Yep, all the way in. All the way in, yes, nice. Perfect. Okay, go behind me. Throw a spreader on, or throw the ram on. We would stop our first timer right now. Hold the tool.
Got it.
Okay, come back and grab the spreader. Spreader. Right there. Time.